I think we're going to ask the same question. Was that a carbon copy of last week to no small extent, Brad?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it probably looks that way given, we got jumped again in the first quarter and then responded really well, which is, it's obviously very frustrating because once we got some things straightened up in the last 2 weeks, we gave ourselves a good opportunity, but the reality is we weren't able to finish. Even though Carlton were better than us early, we were disappointed with just contest and pressure, but I thought we turned that around really well in the last 3 quarters.
What were your thoughts on the last quarter? You were in it, but it just looked like you were never going to quite get the couple of goals in a row that you'd need to get the job done.
I think we certainly had the opportunities. We just didn't quite take them. And you look at players sort of stopped on a free, or what they thought was a free kick in the middle of the ground, and a defender stopped, and they got out the back and kicked an easy goal. And I think they kicked some pretty easy ones, and we weren't able to take our opportunities. But it's sort of a 55 to 54 inside 50 game. So they took their opportunities early and kicked some easy goals in the first quarter, and we had to work pretty hard for most of ours throughout the night.
Brad, you must have been pleased with the return of Darcy Parish, 31 disposals. More importantly, 10 clearances, which really kept you in the game, but it really got you back into the game, more essentially.
Yeah, Darcy's worked really hard. He's been really unlucky with injury. He's such a dynamic player, and we've been frustrated the last 2 or 3 years that we haven't had real continuity from him. But he showed tonight, after a long layoff, just what a quality player he is. So very happy to have him back in the side, and he performed really well.
It's obviously a disappointing result, but just given the fact that your backline was under quite duress in terms of personnel, and 6 teenagers again, and your 8th debutant, is those the sort, when you take that into consideration, are there a lot of positives you can sort of build off? Oh
yeah, there's no doubt we're optimistic about what's to come, but we're really focused on what's right in front of us right now. So we've just, it's I think it's exciting for our fans to see, tonight a first gamer, a second gamer, a third gamer, a fourth gamer, and not just playing big part roles. They were thrown not to the wolves because we think we prepared them really well, but we expected Carlton to challenge us forward. McGovern starting forward and stretches down there, but I thought our guys held up really well in that part of the game, and Carlton had their moments where they were dominant. And kicked the ball to Curnow, and he's a really good player. But I thought Laverty fought really hard in that matchup, and Clark and Day Wicks and Roberts and Lual all had their moments tonight, which is really encouraging for the future. But that's the way we've obviously built our list, and we've invested a lot in those players. But we're really focused on what's right in front of us right now, and we think we're a capable team, but there's still a gap between where the best teams are and where we are.
Brad, what did you make of the Sam Durham bump in the second quarter? It's obviously already been a talking point mid-game, but have you looked at it, and what are your thoughts?
No, I didn't look at it. I mean, I've got enough to focus on, and it'll be what it'll be. I mean, all of these things, whether it be MRO, other things that are out of your control, it's just there's nothing I can do about it. I can try and shape the discussion one way or the other, but I don't think they really care what I think.
What are your general instructions though around the bump? Like obviously Sam in that moment, and it's a split-second moment, but made the decision to bump. Do you talk to?
I couldn't even comment because I didn't even go back and look at a replay. I've deliberately not looked at a replay because I don't want to make comment before other people have got to do their job.
What about in general though? Do you encourage your players to bump, or do you prefer them to tackle? Like what? Just in general.
I mean we encourage them to go low in the contest, make the ball their objective. Now they've got to make split-second decisions. I mean there's some. Imagine being a player now. You bump because if they haven't got the ball, it's holding the man. You want to tackle to dispossess, but you can't dump them. I understand all the challenges in the game around health and safety, but players have probably a more difficult job now in terms of duty of care to their opponents than they've ever had at any stage in AFL history. So, the Durham's a go-ahead type player and as hard at the ball as anyone, and that's really what we encourage him and our players to do.
Just, you mentioned the ability of the midfield to turn the tide. Was it even more pleasing the fact that Merritt was held pretty well by Chincotta? Did that make it even more, pleasing that when your best player obviously was down, but the other guy stepped up?
He's still. I mean, he's a player that's. Nothing's impossible, but it's very difficult to keep him from having influence on the contest. And I thought he had real influence in different things we were doing around stoppage, some crucial turnovers through pressure. But we really do make it a focus that we don't want to be reliant on one player. And it's fair enough, some of the commentary that Zach has been just dragging us along over the last couple of years is an exceptional player, but most teams rely on their best players. And we've been trying to spread the load even more and get Zach to play different roles based on what the team needs. And like all the great captains, he's accepted whatever challenge has been thrown at him, whether that's playing forward, midfield or back.
Generally speaking, Brad, do you walk away from this game very glass half full? I mean, you feel like you won probably last three quarters. You've had injuries thrown your way. The best part of this season, as Ronnie said, like you've had Merritt was nullified parts during the night. Is it a glass half full mentality from this game?
We're certainly optimistic about what we're building, but it's I said to the players, we're all competitive people, and we should never be satisfied with coming away not getting what we were after. And we went to Brisbane last week to get a result, and clearly tonight, no, we didn't get that. So we'll never be comfortable or satisfied with that. But that being said, I think what I'm optimistic about, and hopefully what our fans are optimistic about, is what we're building. And I think you can build for the future without it being at the expense of right now.
Brad, there's a lot of excitement rightly around Nate Caddy, speaking of the future. How important is a night like tonight for his growth, I guess, and what he's trying to become?
Yeah, Nate's just a remarkable athlete in terms of he's got all the things you want to play AFL footy. He's obviously got terrific speed and power, but he's an elite endurance athlete. He's going to be a handful for whoever has to play on him into the future, and it's a lot to ask a second year player to really shoulder the load, because Peter Wright's doing dual roles at the moment. So Nate's doing a terrific job, and he's just a great person to coach. I love coaching him.
What did you think of him tonight?
Cads? Yeah, I thought he had some really good moments. Against a pretty seasoned, quality key defensive setup. So, we're obviously challenged with some of our height at both ends of the ground. But I thought he was pretty influential.
Speaking of height, how pleasing has it been to see him just impact the way the games has been in recent times? Because there was a few, obviously he had the big shoulder injury, and it seemed to sort of, impact his ability to take big marks. But he's really right back to his almost best and fairest form, isn't he? Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, he's. I think he's been really important the last, the whole year really. But he went through a difficult period. But as I regularly said to him, I've never ever at any stage lost confidence in his ability, and stressed his importance to our team. I think he's a really important player to us, and I think he's been enormous the last month or so in particular.
Last one.
How did you assess Todd Goldstein's game tonight, Brad? He was up against De Koning. It was a real interesting battle across the night, but he was also up against a second rucker who was making his debut as well.
Yeah, he's a remarkable person and player, Goldie. De Koning's I think elevating himself into the top echelon of ruckman in the competition. He presents a different challenge to a lot of other ruckmen, but I thought Goldie had his moments too, and some critical contests, some gave our midfield a good, at least, opportunity to halve some contests. And I thought it was a pretty fascinating battle. And to be still doing what he's doing at his age is pretty exceptional. And thank God we've got him. Thanks.